Welcome to this week's Weekend Watch with myself, Andrew Mount, and Daryl Carter. As usual, bit of a difference this week. We welcome a new sponsor on board, so thank you very much to SBK, who are sponsoring the video this week. We're well into the turf action on the flat, aren't we? And of course, the Jump Jockey Championship is hotter than ever. So we'll be talking about that probably a bit later when we get onto the jumping action. We've got Haydock and Musselburgh to talk about. We'll do our best to find you some winners. And I'm sure there may be something from other places as well. So we'll start with Musselburgh, guys, and they're 150, the Silver Arrow handicap. And we've got recent Southall specialist that goes in there, Stone Soldier. At the moment, clear at the top of the market. What do we think of Stone Soldier's chances, Andrew?
Yeah, he's done really well since joining Archie Watson. 3 wins from 4 starts, all at Southall. Tends to race prominently. The concern, I guess, is stall 10 now that he's back on turf, because we're 7 furlongs. Musselburgh, generally speaking, it pays to be prominent, ideally from a lowish draw. So while it wouldn't surprise me to see him go well, I was going to side with Marshal Dan, who has been in the tracker for a while. That was after his last run at Newcastle on the 12th of December. Now, he's a horse who's won 7 times in his career, but he's never won back-to-back. He tends to go backwards after a win. So I was against him that day. He's actually surprised me. He's run better than I expected. He was drawn poorly in stall 1 towards the far side in that straight track handicap at Newcastle. And he's raced keenly, raced up with the pace, which is generally not ideal there. And he still finished at, a respectable enough 4th at 7-1. He was a course and distance winner on his penultimate start from a similar draw. I think it was stall 3. It's stall 2 today. So he's drawn around the inside. He really goes well following a defeat. I think he's won the last 3 or 4 times following a defeat. So, after a break, Heather Main's Marshal Dan for me here.
Yeah, he beat 3 Saints Bay, didn't he, when he won 2 starts ago? That horse reopposes on Saturday. Daryl, what do you like in there?
Yeah, I thought this was quite a tricky race, quite a tricky opener, to be honest with you. I think a lot of these are at their limits, or there's not a lot between about 3 or 4 of them. I thought the difference in the race might be this Manigordo, a big price for Tim Easterby first time up. You do need to be quite forgiving to back him. He's only 1 for 10, but some of his 2-year-old form is very, very strong, including an excellent 4th in the Doncaster Sales race behind the likes of Kings Lynn, rated 94, Repartee rated 100, Torres Strike rated 110. Now that run, he didn't get much of a clear passage there. Stayed on really strongly. That came after a 61-day break. I think this horse might be best when fresh. So I think first time up might be the time to catch him. He went backwards as a 3-year-old last year after winning first time out at Sandown to beat Torfan. He was rated around 98, 96. He was given some real tough tasks last year of high handicap marks against improving horses. He's dropped all the way down to 84 now. He's been gelded. First start for Tim Easterby, and he's going there obviously fresh. So I just thought from a good draw in stall 5, he might be able to ping out, make all the running. And I just think he's better than this mark of 84. So it's a bit of a chance he won in the opener, but Manigordo, a big price for me.
The 225, is the Royal Mile. Small field there, Daryl.
All right, to me. Couple of interesting runners in this race. Forest Falcon looks likely to try and make the run in, but there's a couple that can go forward here. I thought Heights of Abraham was interesting from a handicapping perspective of a mark of 83. If you go back to his Musselburgh win over course and distance on soft ground, he did that very readily, beating a couple of 70-plus horses. But it's his second at Air that looks really good behind Recovery Run. I quite like this horse. I don't know how he's going to fare first time up, so I haven't got a strong opinion in this race. But from a handicapping perspective, on the bare form of things, I thought Heights of Abraham was one to be interested in. If not now, then perhaps going forward. He won last time out of Doncaster over a mile, staying on really strongly. The horse back in second is rated 77, and he was giving him plenty of weight that day. He's only off 83 here. I think he could have a bit more to come. His time figures have been good. I just didn't think there was anything that was miles ahead of their mark. I could be completely wrong because obviously it's first time up as a 3-year-old. Yeah. But I thought Heights of Abraham is actually the outsider of the field. I thought would be one of the more interesting runners.
Yeah, Keith Dalgleish, the yard had gone quiet, hadn't they? But had a winner, I think, the other day. So at least they're coming into form. Andrew?
Yeah, this is really tricky despite the small field. Normally, you just side with a prominent racer drawn low in these mile handicaps at Musselburgh, but there's lots of prominent races in this. As Daryl said, it could be a strongly run contest. And Richard Fahey's got a good record. He's won 2 of the last 3 renewals. He had a 25-1 second from a poor draw in his blank year. I thought Ventura Mutiny might be the best of his 2 runners here. This one was too green to do himself justice, went 6th at Newcastle on his debut. Still ran pretty well in the circumstances. Next time out, he's gone to Redcar, and he's, as the stalls have opened, he's ducked right and done a right job on a couple of his rivals. And he's had to come from off the pace there, and he's recovered to finish 3rd. That was a good effort. And then 3rd time out here at Musselburgh over 7 furlongs, he's pinged out and made all 4-runner field, winning it 7-2 by 4.5 lengths. So I'm not necessarily thinking he's going to try and repeat those tactics. I imagine from the worst of the draw in stall 7 of 7, they'll have to take a lead. But given Richard Fahey's good record in this race, I thought he might go well here at what should probably be a reasonable price, around about 7 or 8-1, I think.
Yeah, I think both of your selections there are 7s or 8s roughly. So a bit of value in that second race at Musselburgh, but it does look like a tricky one. Next, we've got the Fast and Furious Sprint Cup. We've got the fabulous old boy, haven't we? Globetrotting Caspian Prince had a look, making his 110th racecourse appearance. So won't be quite as warm at Musselburgh as where we last saw him, which was at Meydan, Andrew.
Right. Yeah, this is a belting race, and I mean, generally speaking, in 5 furlong races at Musselburgh, it helps to be drawn high because you're near that stand-side rail. But more important, I think, is having a bit of early toe. And just looking at in the last 5 years, course and distance handicaps of 12 or more runners. Front runners have got a really good record, 6 wins from 25 races. Prominent races won 12 times, and only 7 came from off the pace from a sample of 194 runners, 3.6%. So you're looking at 24% strike rate for front runners, 12%, 10% for prominent races, and next to nothing for hold-up horses. So, I'd rather be on a front runner drawn 1 than a hold-up horse drawn sort of 14, 13 here, I think. I mean, looking at it, there's I think Just Another Bottle is the one who's forecast to start as favourite, nicely drawn in stall 11. But I think he was flattered when he won at Catterick last back end. They went off like the absolute clappers that day, and the winner and second were sort of last and second last for much of the race, and challenge sort of centred to stand side. And so I thought maybe Just Another Bottle was flattered. Zarzini's got a nice draw in stall 12, second run for David Barron. But he found trouble that day in a field of only about 8 runners. You look at his Irish form for Mick Halford, every time he had a big field, comments such as hampered, not clear runs, switched, crop up with great regularity. So I thought he's going to need a lot of luck in running. The 2 I were looking at, Jabberwocky for Eric Alston, Jason Hart, a potent combination in sprints. He's nicely drawn in stall 10. And he's got a good record first time out. He needed the run on his racecourse debut, but since then, his seasonal debut record is 3 seconds and a win from 4 starts. 2 of those seconds by narrow margins. So given that best fresh angle, given that he's won in big fields, he's won over course and distance. With Jason Hart up, stall 10 for Jabberwocky looks good. And the other one is Copper Knight for Tim Easterby. He tends to come good in the first half of the turf season, goes off the boil afterwards, goes well on flat tracks. He's particularly likes York. He's 0 from 3 here, but he ran well in this race 3 years ago, finishing 4th of 16 at 10-1. He was given a patient ride that day. He did second best of those to come from the back. And on his final start last year, he ran in that Just Another Bottle race at Catterick. And he's raced alone on the far side where the ground was a lot slower. He's gone off like a scalded cat, as have several in the field. That's why the pace collapsed. And he's still run pretty respectably in the circumstances. So I thought Copper Knight, usually ridden prominently, and Jabberwocky with the 2 to both back each way against the likely market leader.
Yep, they're about 7 and 8-1 respectively, I think. Obviously, Copper Knight got Alan McCain on. She's a good apprentice for her £5 claim. Daryl?
Oh, it's very difficult to follow that. Follow that, but Copper Knight is the one I actually come down on as well. And I agree with Andrew. Being drawn high is definitely beneficial here. I think only 5 horses in the last 10 years have hit the frame being drawn stall 7 or lower. So I do think you want to be drawn high. Copper Knight's in stall 9. Got a good record fresh, a fair enough record fresh. He's become so well handicapped now, inclusive of Ella McCain's £5 claim. He's running off career low mark of 82. 4 starts ago, he's running off 97. I found it very hard to ignore him when I was going through this race. And basically, I don't really want to repeat everything Andrew's just said because he summed it up beautifully.
Go on, Daryl, please.
Yeah, I was just going to mention about the Catterick run on soft ground last start of the season when he was on the far side. He's extremely well handicapped. This is a very tricky race at the start of the season. A big 5 furlong, big field 5 furlong handicap to kick us off with. And there's plenty you can make cases for going through the field who are slightly better off with others. But I just thought that the gleaming beam in this race was going to be Copper Knight. If he was going to bounce back to form, it's going to be off this mark, effectively 82. Yeah. He's much better off of the weights with a lot of these runners. I think he was second to Tarbouche in 2019, giving him £2. He's now £20 better off with him. You can say that for a few of the other rivals he's met time and time again in this field. So I thought Copper Knight would be the bet in here. Drawn well, prominent front runner, well handicapped. I don't think you can ask for much more than that at this time of the year.
Yeah, plenty of people actually spend their time complaining that their horses don't get dropped enough. It seems like Copper Knight, they've been quite fair to then drop down the handicap quite quickly. So Copper Knight and Jabba Rocky are the two they both like. And as I say, both each way kind of prices 7-8 to 1. So the last race for us scheduled at Musselburgh is the 3:35. Got the Queen's Cup. My nap goes in here, so I'm going to go first in case either of them fancy it. And it's we talked about Keith Dalglish earlier and that his horses have come into better form now, and that's going to be the nap in here. All Right Sunshine, I think the yard hopefully are going to start coming good now. This horse is 4 from 10 on the flat. Good record on the flat so far. Has got some good course and distance form as well. He's last 2 flat starts have been in really difficult races, I thought. Had a little spell hurdle in the last twice. I think they were both at Kelso. Was second on one of those, so he's fit from that. Flat marks dropping as well all the time, and has already had a bit of market support. So that's going to be my nap in there. All Right Sunshine in that 3:35. Do you want to start us off, Andrew?
Yeah, sure thing. Well, as well as your nap, we've got the GG gaffer, Ross Clark, who's gone for Diocletian, here, hasn't he? And,
bring it on.
Yeah, he basically said we're not getting paid this month. He's just going to put our already meagre wages on this one to try and boost them to something respectable. But
God.
Yeah, interesting. This race is worth 38 grand to the winner. Still a nice pot. It's less than it was the last time it was run 2 years ago. 62 grand that day. But it's had a prize money boost for the last 4 years, and in that time we've had 2 winners make all, 2 winners race prominently. And those horses who were described as held up are 0 from 33. So running style is particularly important here. I'd rather be on a high-drawn front runner than a low-drawn hold-up horse, even though obviously that low draw towards the inside rail can be helpful. Now, Mark Johnson and Ian Williams have got 8 of the 14 runners between them. They're trying to do a Willie Mullins, Gordon Elliott impression here, I think, and dominate this. So I was immediately drawn to the Mark Johnson runners. I'm a fan of Trumpet Man, but his improvement came over 2 miles. He won 3 times in a row over that trip, then dropped to mile 6 at Chelmsford last time out, was beaten at short price. So I just worry still about this mile 6 trip. I thought perhaps he'll run well without winning, and maybe we could back him next time when he steps up in trip. The Max We Can as a horse, I think, will do well this year, but he needs good to firm going, and he's not getting it here. And King's Advice has got the visor on for the first time, which is a big negative for Mark Johnson runners. So I've sort of kind of tried to make a case for those, but I was struggling. I mean, Nate the Great surprised me a bit last time. I had him down as a bit of a twicer who would often place but not win. This is another Andrew Balding runner like Diocletian. But he won pretty well at Wolverhampton, and maybe now he's got his head back in front. That was his first win for the yard. A horse who's generally ridden prominently, maybe Nate the Great from stall 4 can do it. Likely to head the market, or certainly be a single figure price. Yeah,
it's not easy though, is it? Daryl?
Yeah, it looks like I'm giving a double penalty to Diocletian with Ross. Yeah, I'm hoping he's not a curse. Look, he was last seen finishing a very credible 13 for 34 in the Cesaro, which that run was that race really benefited those running promptly that day. I thought he did remarkably well, really, given how he was positioned coming down the straight. Just held up too far off the pace. Prior to that, he was beaten 2.25 lengths or 2.5 lengths by Yukon Glen. Didn't have the clearest of passages that day. Stayed on really strongly at Haydock over 1 mile 6. I just felt there was a little bit of unfinished business with him going forward. Obviously, those were his last 2 runs on the flat. He's been over hurdles, so he should be fit from that sphere. I think he's feasibly handicapped on a mark of 98. I didn't think we got to the bottom of him last year, so I can see why Ross likes him. He is going to be a bit of a hostage to fortune now because he does like to be held up. And with Andrew's stats there, that's probably not going to be a plus for him. But I'm going to take a chance, Diocletian. Think there's a little bit of unfinished business with him on the flat. Yeah, I like him.
Okay. I've got about 12s at the moment for Diocletian. Mine, All Right Sunshine, is 10s. And you did land on Nate the Great, Andrew, yeah?
Yeah, that's right.
Who was about 6 to 1. So that's in at 3:35. That's it for the scheduled races at Musselburgh. Do either of you like anything else at Musselburgh?
In a word, no.
Okay, Daryl?
I do. Yeah, I do. I like one. I like Primo's Comet in the 4:11. It's shaped like he was running into form at Newcastle the last twice. His RPRs are rising. His handicap mark is falling. He loves it here at Musselburgh. 2 years ago, he's competing in the Sprint Cup off a mark of 82. He's now down to a mark of 67. And I think he should take some beating in this. He's very unlucky in the Sprint Cup 2 years ago as well. So I think the fact that this is a lesser race than that one, and he's down to a very low mark of 67. I think he should go well.
I'm looking for a price. Have you got one? Oh, 12-ish. I think.
Yeah, interesting booking as well. Holly Doyle riding for Jim Goldie. She's only had 5 rides for the yard. Only 2 of those sort of were started shorter than 10 to 1, and both made the frame.
There we go. Okay, then that's the 4:11 at Musselburgh. Then Primo's Comet. So Holly Doyle on board that one. That's it for Musselburgh. Then we've got the jumping, which I'm sure will cheer Daryl up. We move on to Haydock. And no surprise, of course, to see Harry Skelton on the current favourite, Vision Depoy, in the 2:05. Andrew, you want to start us?
Yeah, sure thing. Let me just bring up my notes. Bear with me 1 second. Yeah. There's a couple I wanted to pose here. One of them, Dino Velvet, whose last 4 wins have come in fields of 10 or more runners. A hold-up horse. I didn't think he'd have the race run to suit. The other one is Excitations, another strong traveller who seems best in big fields, off a strong pace, and might not be suited by the way this race is run. Vision Depoy may be the same problem with him. We might prefer a bigger field. He did well to win at Stratford last time, coming from off the pace on a track that generally favours front runners. But there was 12 ran that day. I'm just thinking what's going to be a small field tactical affair. I'd be quite happy to side with Chito Balco, the Haydock expert, whose wins have tended to come in small fields from the front. I mean, the last time he ran over course and distance, he won by 26 lengths off a £1 lower mark. Going wise, he likes the mud. I'm not sure what they're calling it at Haydock. We've got good to soft in places, watering. Yeah. I mean, it's just completely random, isn't it? It could be fun.
So we have no idea.
It could be heavy. It's a typical Kirkland Tellwright job. You're just left guessing until you see the first race or two. Yeah. And the other one I thought could go well was Shantou Express. Now, he has won right-handed, but he was 5 to 1 on at Exeter. And he's often received comments like jump left, hung left. And I just thought he's better this way round. He's had 5 goes on left-handed tracks, 2 wins and 3 seconds. So in terms of getting through the place pot in this tricky 7-runner contest, I'll be quite happy to bank on Shantou Express. But at the prices, I think Chito Balco might be a spot of value.
Yeah, found the best odds on mine at 12s for Chibalco. So that's a bit of each way, but obviously just the 7 runners in there. Daryl?
Yeah, this is a weird little race. This is this Vision Depoy. The price is going to contract on every Dan Skelton runner you look at. So the fact that this one won last time out is owned by JP. I think that all factors into why this horse is so short. Because if you compare the race the horse won last time out at Stratford to the a similar race on the card. It was slower than the 96 rated Blazing Saddle, so I didn't think it was. I didn't think it was one that was going to scream to be going in next time out. I thought Shantou Express was should have been a clear favourite for this, really.
Yeah.
Mark of 140 definitely asked more from him. He's £6 up from his Weatherby run against Pay the Piper. That Pay the Piper is a useful horse. And I don't really see many negatives with Shantou Express other than the fact that he's carrying top weight in here. If he's going to progress and be good enough to defy this mark of 145, he could quite well do. He could be a 145 to 150 horse. He does need to improve to win this. I was trying to look for something that was well handicapped, and the one I came down on was Dino Velvet, cheek pieces first time for Alan King. I don't know if this horse is well handicapped or this horse is just a 125 horse, but I feel at the weights in this particular race, I thought there was so much pace on. I thought Shantou Express was going to try and make the run in. Excitation was going to try and make the run in. I thought Chitty Balco back at Haydock was going to try and make the run in. And I just thought this might set up for someone like Vision Dupuy or for someone like Dino Velvet. And given I went through the Vision Dupuy race and felt that a marker 127 might even be beyond that horse, I thought Dino Velvet could just be running back into a little bit of form. He's been better than the Bear Result 3 times this year, running good time figures on ground that probably didn't suit. You do have to forgive the Newbury run where he was beaten 13 lengths. I haven't really got an excuse for that. I just feel that this horse has dropped down to a mark of 125. The cheek pieces do go on first time. That could just make a difference. And that was the way I was sort of leaning. This race is not going to be a bet for me, but in terms of trying to give a bit more information, I thought Dino Velvet would almost certainly be in the first two. So, him or Shantou Express, but Dino Velvet.
Okay, Dino Velvet for Daryl then, and Shabalko for Andrew. The 240, and we've got Debece in here. I thought really looked like a rejuvenated horse on his stable debut last time, and no surprise it was for the Skeltons. I wasn't overly chuffed with the ride he got, I thought Harry did one of his usual, sometimes that he does, got a bit excited, really kicked on from halfway, and I just think he made things a bit difficult for the horse, and one came past, especially on the first run after a wind up. Sometimes I feel like you need to be a bit more patient with them, and let them kind of come to their run in the closing stages and finish off their race. I don't think that Debece got probably the ride he needed, but I do think he now looks like a well handicapped horse, was very well backed. And the horse will now know that he can breathe as well. So loads of positives, I thought, for Debece in that 240 there, Andrew.
Yeah, I was thinking of taking him on. Take your point about the first run after the wind up, 3 miles on soft ground at Sandown up a hill. Probably not the ideal place to be going for home a little bit too soon. But no. He does lack big field chase experience or chase form. And I know it was for another yard, and maybe. In this big field, he might encounter traffic problems, and on quicker ground, assuming the forecast is correct, then maybe he's vulnerable. So, I mean, Crossley Tender's a horse we know about because we talked about him when we were looking at the Ida. He's an incredibly consistent beast. Doesn't always find it easy to get his head in front, and he'll probably be there about. But I thought the key piece of form might have been this race 2 years ago when Alan King's Marmalade beat Some Kind of King, Tom George's horse, who was third that day. Both are off much lower marks this time around. Some Kind of King was particularly of interest because Tom George is flying at the moment. Typically, with the ground being better, his horses generally like quick ground. They run well at this time of year as a general rule. He had a 20 to 1 shot make all at Warwick the other day, a winner at Newbury also. And this one was a winner at 11 to 1 at Taunton last time on good ground. So having been to this race before and run well in it. I mean, the slight worry is his running style. He was best of those to come from off the pace when he was third in this race. Generally over fences at Haydock, as we know, it pays to race closer to the front end. But I still thought at a double figure price, I've seen a price of 10 to 1 for Some Kind of King. Maybe he's worth having a few quid each way on. And the other Tom George runner in the race, Smuggler's Blues as well, has been pretty consistent of late. Second or third in his last 4 starts. And, again, that last run came after a break of a few months. And with the yard in good form, maybe he too can run into a place. I mean, this Challenger Series has been going for 4 years now. And the trainers who lead the sort of trainers table might surprise you. Tom George is joint top with Nigel Twiston Davis, both with 3 wins each. John Joe and Alan King, 2 each. So perhaps it doesn't always go to the sort of the bigger names that you'd expect, but I'd certainly like some kind of king in particular here.
Yeah, plenty of them have got runners in this as well, haven't they? Obviously, Twiston Davies's have got Check It Out, looking for a hat trick, but it's some kind of king that Andrew's landed on. We got Thomas Doggerel taking off a massive £10, so he must be conditional at Tom George's, I guess. Daryl?
Yeah, just quite happily stick with Crossley Tender, second in the Ida last time behind Sam's Adventure. I thought it was a cracking run. The time before that, Ascot, as I said previously, he did a really good time figure to get to where he was, finishing third of 11. I think those two form lines are very strong in the context of this race. I think he's still fairly treated on off a mark of 130. He's consistent as they come. You can back him each way. The better ground shouldn't be any sort of issue. He has won over hurdles on good soft ground. I think he's a really nice improving type. I think he deserves to get his head in front again before the season's out. So Crossley Tender off a mark of 130. I think he's fairly treated.
Okay. Crossley Tender for Daryl then. Some kind of king for Andrew in the 240. And I do quite like Debece, a bit boring. The 315, we've got lots of informed horses in this. None more so than Sue Smith's runner. Her horses are in good form now on a hat-trick mission. Small presence. And that one was a well-backed favourite. Winning the last twice, actually. So been in good form. What do we think about small presence chances? Do you want to start, Daryl?
Yeah, I think he's got a good chance. Won well last time. It's quite surprising. Sort of bounced back into a bit of form from nowhere, really, in the races he's been winning. I thought the key piece of form for this race was the Newbury win by Regarding Ruth last time, which was a strange race. It was run slowly and then it was run really fast on the final circuit. I thought that Colonial Dreams was a big eye catcher in that race, made up significant ground from the rear of the field. I expect him to reverse the form on better terms. £8 better off with Regarding Ruth in this race. This horse has got some nice bits and pieces of form from Ascot and Sandown from 2019, which looks very good. I think he's going to be ridden more prominently this time around. I think he's had a few problems. He's a 9-year-old. He hasn't visited the track. He hasn't seen the track that much. But a mark of 133, based on that performance, is well within reach. He was the only horse to come from the rear of the field to make the frame, or to make the first 5 or 6 even. So I just thought that was a key piece of form. I tipped up Imperial Knight yesterday, who had ridden a similar sort of race but finished well behind Colonial Dreams. Imperial Knight finished second yesterday. So I do think it's a strong piece of form, and I think this Nicky Henderson horse has got a bit more to offer. So he'd be the one I'd be quite confident would be there or thereabouts in this race. Colonial Dreams for me.
Yeah, he's another one. We've got loads of each way value this week, 12 to 1-ish I've got at the moment. So at the time of recording, Colonial Dreams at a best price at the minute that I can find of 12s. Andrew?
Yeah, I'm coming at it from a very similar angle to Daryl here. And I think that regarding Ruth, Newbury form is key. Now, there was a big bias to front runners on the hurdles track at Newbury that day. Regarding Ruth, made pretty much all, closely followed by I Will Do It, and that pair have finished 1-2. So there were several who ran respectably from off the pace that day who are reopposing. Colonial Dreams, who's Daryl's mentioned, finishing third. And then also the horses in 5th, 6th and 7th, Never Been to Paris, Out on Patrol, Canyon City. So I was just going to fire a few arrows at the lot of them. Because there's a lot of pace on here again, because, as well as the aforementioned Regarding Ruth and I Will Do It reopposing, you've got Super Calonistic for Nigel Twiston Davis, who usually makes the running. You've got Kansas City Chief for the Mulholland Yard, Republican for Oliver Sherwood. And again, in this race and over this course of distance in particular, it's not been as important to be on the front end as it is over fences at Haydock. And I thought something could come over the top and do them all here. So I'll need to have a better look at it closer to the time. But yeah, that Canyon City is the biggest of the quartet I mentioned, 33 to 1 for Neil King. So, he was
the only course and distance winner in the field as well.
Really, I didn't know. He was 80 to 1 in that Newbury race. He's got been 18.5 lengths into 8th. And bear in mind, he's only just behind Out on Patrol, a length and a half behind that one. And the price I've seen for Out on Patrol in this race is sort of 10, 11, 12 to 1.
Yeah.
And we're getting 3 times that price for a horse who was only just behind him at Newbury last time, so only just behind us. So, yeah, there's a few possibilities here, but yeah, I'll go with Canyon City for my 50p each way at this stage.
You'll be pleased to know that I've got 50s best price at the minute on Canyon City. So
excellent.
That'd be good if it stays like that. Yeah, out on patrols around 11. So the couple were Canyon City was never been to Paris. The other one.
Yeah,
That
never been to
25.
Paris. Yeah, and Daryl's pick, Colonial Dreams. I say they all came from off the pace in that Newbury race.
Yeah, so good. 3 selections more or less there. Rough ones at big prices. That's the 3 races from Haydock. Do we like anything else there? Either of you?
No, not for me.
Yeah, there's a couple of interesting ones in the 350, the Mayor's Series final. The winner 2 years ago, the Bay Birch from Matt Shepherd. Once they won this under top weight the last time the meeting was run, and top weight again, been in good form, tends to go well at this time of year. She doesn't do anything in the first few months of the season. Get to around February time, she starts to come good, and she's a real spring mare. So I thought the Bay Birch could go well again to stage a repeat in the 350. And the 425, we've got a veterans handicap chase. So as usual, I'm going to wheel out the 10-year-old stats.
They're exciting always.
And Nigel Twiston-Davies, he doesn't have many 10-year-olds in veterans handicap chases, 23 over the years, 7 of the 23 run, won, profit of over 25 quid to a £1 level stake. And those who finished 6th or worse last time out and were perhaps stepping down in class, 6 wins from 12 starts, plus £32.83 to a quid. So, Arthur's gift, I thought could go well for the Twiston-Davies yard here. That's the 425.
I love Manuel. I ride him out at Sam's sometimes. He's in that veterans chase. So, and the last time I said I liked a horse of Sam's, it didn't win the day we talked about it, but it did the time after. So perhaps don't back Manuel on Saturday. Wait until the next run. But I think he's favourite actually. Do like Manuel? Yeah, he's a sweet one in that veterans chase. I also had a little look at that 130. I thought we'd got 5-star Getaway in there. Absolutely bolted up, didn't he, last time out? He looked like he joined in at halfway at Sandown. He is a favourite, I think, and probably will be quite short, but like the look of 5-star Getaway in the 130. Anything anywhere else?
I've got one at Carlisle in the 433. Cooking Fat. It's a 10-year-old, but he was much better than the bare result after a break over hurdles behind Papa Poutine. He looked like he was coming to win his race and made a mistake at I think it was the second last flight. He likes Carlisle. Brian Hughes is on board. Cheek pieces are switched out for the blinkers, and he won when he won last time when he was reapplied these blinkers off a £2 high mark at Perth. So I think Cooking Fat has been plotted for this race. Spin over hurdles, back over fences, blinkers on. Brian Hughes booked. A lot of positives. So, Cooking Fat, Carlisle, 433.
Okay, Andrew?
One at Cork in the 235. This is a good sprint. 6 furlong listed contest, and there's a horse who's got a bit to find, on bare ratings. Back to Brussels for the Fuzzy Stack yard, but goes particularly well when fresh. Now, in her juvenile season, first time out, she was a winner at 6-1 in a sort of good field at Navan, and then last season, so first time out, she ran in a 7 furlong Group 3 at Leopardstown. The saddle slipped soon after the start, so she basically didn't have a race, wasn't persevered with. Next time out, she's 8-0, 80-1. She's got beaten half a length into second over this course and distance. And then she's come back to Cork later in the season in August, and she's won by 3 lengths in a conditions race. And then after that win, she's had 3 goes on the all-weather and just hasn't handled it. She's got a lower mark on the all-weather. So coming back to turf, coming back to Cork, proven when fresh. This is her first run since early November. So despite the fact that, she's got a little bit to find with the likes of make a challenge rate at 110. I thought that she would be a bit of each way value here. So get onto our new sponsors, SBK, open an account, have a few quid each way on back in Brussels with them.
Yeah, back to Brussels. I think at the moment is about 10-1, so good bit of each way value. Again, there naps for the weekend. Have we decided?
I'm going Marshal Dan in that 150 at Musselburgh.
I'm going to go. Can I give you a nap the next best, yeah?
If you want to.
It's a tricky weekend this weekend. I'm going to go Primo's Comet in a 411 as the nap. And I quite like this Manigordo in the 150 in the same race as Andrew's nap. So I think that horse is about 16 odd to 1.
Yeah.
So Yeah, nothing next best there.
Why don't we just put Diocletian as a place layup as the for, to wind Ross up? You realise he said I'm not going to shave until I back a winner again, and you've seen the state of his boat race now.
Yeah, he also pays the wages, so he's the one person you perhaps shouldn't slag off too much. But,
yeah, no,
because
best of luck with your net, Ross. We're all rooting for you.
Between you two, you've already isolated the amount of jockeys that I'm going to be able to interview over the next few months. So
yeah, well,
don't do it to the boss as well.
I have to interview jockeys as well, so I am careful. And mine is All Right Sunshine, isn't it? In the 3:35 at Musselburgh. That's my nap. So that's it. We've given you a bit of something from everywhere, I hope. Thanks as always for watching. We appreciate all of your involvement and interaction on all our socials, YouTube, and of course the website GG.CO.UK. Thanks for watching. Have a nice weekend, and we'll see you next week.